Hello, this is Sheryl Willis at Go Arizona Real Estate with eXp, coming at you with October 2023 monthly market update. The biggest thing for us to watch is going to be what happens with the extension of Proposition 400, which is on our ballots this November. This is a 0.5% that's in our sales tax that is supposed to expire, and they are asking for an extension for, in my opinion, three huge developments for the Phoenix metropolitan area. The first one is going to be finally the creation of State Route 30, which they've called the Tres Rios Freeway, that will connect Interstate 10 all the way out to the 303. This will bring in a lot more of that new construction that seems really far out there. More specifically, I'm referring to Goodyear, Avondale, and parts of South Phoenix or the Laveen area. Freeway access changes absolutely everything. So if Proposition 400 is extended, these are areas that are right now super affordable, and those values are going to be going up exponentially once the freeway gets started. The second part to watch is going to be that 347 extension that brings Maricopa in just a little bit closer. Right now, 347 is 2 lanes in each direction, and I'll tell you, there's a bottleneck because there are 2 stoplights on there. If Proposition 400 passes, not only will 347 be widened, but in the Pinal County part, they are proposing that they are going to be paying for an overpass. So it will be smooth sailing, no stopping of the traffic from the freeways, and really open up that access to the city of Maricopa. The third place to watch is going to be in the southeast part of the valley, with that extension to the 24 that we've already seen, but more widening of freeways that will be bringing in Santan Valley, Queen Creek, parts of Mesa, and Apache Junction, again, to the freeway structure. Telling you, freeways make all the difference. And so we want to watch what's happening with Proposition 400 in just a few short weeks. Because of the way the media reports the values in the greater Phoenix area, we've been talking about a delayed increase, if you would, of prices going up in the greater Phoenix area. You will start to hear more about that in the media today. And as I've always talked about in my videos, is when the media reports everything, it's pretty much 4 to 6 months behind what's going on. If you want to know what's really going on in a hyper-local area, even by zip code, you just got to give me a call. I'll pull some charts, some numbers for you, and I'll be glad to get that over to you if you're really watching a specific area. But you will start to see in the news that prices are rising, and they have been since the January timeframe. If we look at year-over-year appreciation, we are right at now kind of even. So if you go from September to September of 2022 to September of 2023, we will show you that we have now recovered any loss that we started to see as the end of last year approached. We saw that really big swing from September to December, and then we have been coming back up. My forecast for the year end December 2022 to 2023 is going to be somewhere about 5 to 7%. So let's just say 6%. And I anticipate that we're going to consistently see that for the years to come. Phoenix was named the #1 state for inbound migration, high-paying jobs. We will continue to see that in the greater Phoenix area. I know a lot of people are talking about that looming recession, and it is looming above us. So what does that mean for the housing market? A lot of people think that that might mean prices declining. Unfortunately, that is not what a recession does for housing market. If we look at the seasonal activity, first of all, Q4 is traditionally always the best time to buy a home. Why? We always see fewer buyer activity right now this time of year, and we also see fewer homes on the market. So the buyers that do come in the market right now are getting some sweet deals. Let me tell you, don't go anywhere. I'm going to share you more about that in this video. As we can look back at all the other recessions that we have had, minus the market crash in 2008, that really was more than a recession. It was a financial crisis, very unlike any of the other recessions we've had before or we are having today. If you look at each of these recessions, though, the one thing that is consistent is that housing prices pretty much stay the same, but the rates will come down after it's declared that we are finally in a recession. We know lower rates are to come. We just don't know when. A lot of analysts are kind of stepping back now and they're not even making any comments because they've all been kind of wrong so far, as we anticipated those rate drops to happen already. But of course, why would the feds do anything that makes sense? We in the greater Phoenix area will continue to see more and more jobs moving to the greater Phoenix area. Not only are we super employer friendly, but we always have had overall lower operating costs, better taxation, more employer friendly labor laws. We're a non union state. There's a lot of benefits, not to mention, even though housing isn't cheap, it's cheaper than where a lot of these companies are coming from. And so their employees can afford housing within what they call a commute shed, which is within 30 minutes of where these companies are located. We're seeing a lot of that growth actually in Central Phoenix, right around where the 202 hits Interstate 10 right now. And I'm telling you, with that State Route 30 coming in, that is an area that's really going to explode. Housing is super affordable in Levine, Tullison, Avondale, and even parts of Goodyear. The Cromford Market Index will give you a really quick gauge on what's going on in the greater Phoenix area. We have the inventory coupled with the demand will give you a measure of how much of a buyer's or seller's market it is. Anything over 100 is considered a seller's market. Now, just to kind of give you a perspective, 2 years ago, this number was up to 700. That's when it was like stupidly insane. So this is when I say we're in a baby seller's market, this shows you again, 130, 140, even 150 to 180 is still considered a seller's market that's workable for buyers. Look, property values are going up in a seller's market. Anyone thinks that it's smart to buy in a declining market. Nobody wants to buy a home in a buyer's market, if that makes sense. So we're seeing a slight increase of inventory and we're seeing a slight decrease of buyer interest. And a lot, again, has everything to do with seasonal adjustments. There are fewer buyers out there always in the last quarter of the year, and with the higher interest rates. So what we're seeing is we are seeing builder concessions, as I said, but also resale concessions. These numbers right here reflect a good majority, I would say, of all the resale, as well as probably half of the new home construction. Not all new home construction data is captured in our MLS, but this gives you a really good idea that about half the properties out there closing right now are in some way helping the buyer buy down their rate, do a 2-1 buy down, or pay for their closing costs. So if you are the not so perfect buyer, if you have less than 20% down, if you are using an FHA loan, if you are using a VA loan, right now, this is an ideal time for you to buy. Here's the other flip side of it. That doesn't mean that every single home is doing concessions. Like I showed you, there was only 50% there, but we're still seeing a good chunk that are selling for over list price. This will consist of two different types of properties. The first and probably the most frequent is just homes that are absolutely beautifully remodeled. They were remodeled with the intention of a homeowner living there, and now they are selling. So there's quality improvements and upgrades. There's maintenance items that have been taken care of, like a roof, air conditioning, new windows, etc. And they are priced well. Those properties in the higher demand areas still have multiple offers. The other part, there is one particular brokerage in town that is notorious for intentionally putting properties on the market 10 to 20% below market value just to drum up that craziness. It hasn't been very successful for them over the last year because we just don't have that buyer activity. But at the same time, buyer beware. And that's why you need to give us a call. We can walk you through each and every home. We will pre-qualify, if you would, a property. We will properly vet a property before you go out and take the time to look at it. We're going to call and ask for the seller disclosure. We're going to get information on insurance claims histories. We're going to ask for what's the age of the roof, what's the age of the windows, what's the age of the HVAC, how old is the pool equipment, all this information before you go and look at a home. I'm telling you, you don't want to go fall in love with the home, and then when you get there, you just notice that it's a bunch of paint that's been slapped on, and you've just completely wasted your time because it needs too much work. We're going to go and do that work for you before we even go and look at a home. That's the difference, you guys, in today's market, working with the right realtor. We are also looking at slightly longer days on the market before a home goes under contract. The average, or the median, I should say, half is more and half is less. So the median today is still in the 20s. So if you're seeing a home that's been on the market for 2 weeks and they haven't reduced a price or whatever, don't assume that they are in a hurry and that you can go in and lowball them. Typically, we see price reductions, I would say right around that 2 or 3 week price point, or sorry, the 2 to 3 week period after going on the market. After a home's been on the market for 30 to 45 days, that's usually when the seller is a little bit more motivated. But instead of going in for a lower purchase price, I would encourage you to run the numbers, weigh out the pros and cons. That's when we just go in and ask for lots of concessions. Buying down your rate is going to save you more money than the increased purchase price. Look, when you buy a car, all they talk about is a monthly payment. When you buy a house, all you're talking about is the purchase price. Give us a call so we can walk through all those numbers with you. We love numbers. Look, rentals are also going up. So this is not an ideal market for investors. If you're already in the game, hang on to your tenant, because we're actually seeing year over year lease prices flat. And it's going to be hard if you start raising your prices. They're going to start shopping around because there are more rentals on the market today than we've ever had before. We have seen over 100,000 new doors for apartment complexes and also build to rent hit the market this calendar year, or they're under construction and will be released soon. We're seeing a heavy concentration of rentals on the west part of the valley, which is typically where investors go because that's also where the lower income are, higher rentals needs on that side of the valley, and also a lot lower price point for the investor. And so again, just be very careful. If you are if you are a landlord on the west part of the valley, and you need to talk about numbers, I'm still your girl. Look, guys, we want to be your point of contact. If you're buying or selling, we will run numbers. It's all about numbers, but we can't do it unless you give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. Days, nights, or weekends, we got you back when you're moving in or out.